Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, we're going to react to 10 disgraced celebrities who refuse to admit they were wrong. It's just, I get it. I used to be a little bit like that, quite stubborn, not wanting to admit that I'm at fault for something. But, I've definitely worked on that. And these days, if I know I'm wrong, I'm quick to apologize for it. But there's a lot of people who just refuse. They will fight it to the death. They will, they will much rather just go to the end. It wasn't me. It wasn't my fault. You misunderstood me. You didn't understand what I was saying. It was a miscommunication. They'll make any excuse possible. I'm sure you know someone like this in your life, at least one person. So, especially when you're a celebrity, it's even worse because not only do your family, friends, people that you're dealing with know that you're wrong, the whole world knows that you're wrong. So the whole world just can see this person who's just being extremely hard-headed, and you just look like an oaf.
I know and I accept the fact that people are going to feel whatever way they're going to feel.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're covering 10 celebrities who have fallen from grace, yet adamantly deny any wrongdoings.
Y'all quit playing. Quit playing.
Kevin Spacey. Spacey used to be a widely acclaimed actor, with many accolades and achievements under his belt. That was until 2017, when numerous allegations of predatory behavior surfaced.
He did what he did because he knew he'd get away with it.
According to more than 15 men, Spacey had behaved inappropriately towards them, while many of them were underage. Once the first allegation was made, Spacey decided to come out as a gay man during his rather disingenuous apology.
I have loved and had romantic encounters with men throughout my life, and I choose now to live as a gay man.
Tons of criticism followed for trying to shift attention from the accusation, and also for suggesting a correlation between being gay and abusing minors. He still denies every allegation, but Hollywood isn't too keen on hiring him anymore.
But I very, very, very much am so grateful that I am alive and I got through this, and I'm coming out the other side of it.
Ellen DeGeneres.
But didn't he get found innocent by a court of law, like in those charges that were brought against him? I'm not saying that he was innocent of everything, all of the allegations, but I do remember seeing that they found him innocent in court. It's a shame because, he was great in House of Cards. House of Cards was what made me start watching Netflix. And when he left, when they had to remove his character, the show just fell apart.
Ellen was successful at making herself appear friendly and charming, but in 2020, cracks appeared in her reputation.
Toxic, phony, hypocrite, liar. That's what she is.
She was accused of using racism, fear, and intimidation to create a toxic atmosphere for her talk show. She's been accused of a whole bunch of unpleasantries, such as firing an employee for using GoFundMe to cover his medical bills when their health insurance was insufficient.
If you're watching because you love me, thank you. If you're watching because you don't love me, welcome.
When the COVID pandemic just began, she also replaced lots of her staff with non-union workers. She eventually retired from the business, but doesn't show much remorse, once saying, "Would a mean person dance up steps? Apparently, Ellen, they would." Sheen.
Man, firing that person for just trying to pay their medical bills is insane. What was the basis for the firing? On what basis? That's just crazy. Why, she should have just paid the bill. He would have never left her company.
Sheen has been a popular actor since the 80s, achieving his height of fame as Charlie Harper on 2.5 Men.
Charlie, could you and Jake, Yeah, come on, kid, we'll have breakfast out on the deck.
I already had breakfast.
Okay, we'll have lunch.
Not lunchtime.
During the 2000s, he committed a whole bunch of nefarious escapades, many fueled by drugs and alcohol. One of these was domestic abuse in 2009, for which he was sentenced to 30 days in a rehab clinic, 30 days of probation, and 36 hours of anger management.
This whole country struggles with substance use disorders, and Charlie Sheen is just one of many millions of Americans who, on a daily basis, have to confront these struggles.
He was also fired from 2.5 Men in 2011, and his acting roles have decreased dramatically. Instead of apologizing, he famously had a meltdown, claiming to be a warlock with tiger blood, and insisting that he was winning despite the scandals.
I exposed people to magic. I exposed them to something they're never otherwise going to see in their boring, normal lives, and I gave that to them. I may forget about them tomorrow, but they'll live with that memory for the rest of their lives, and that's a gift, man.
Chris Brown.
He must have been high as a kite when he gave that interview. What are you talking about, Charlie? You're a warlock with tiger blood? dude, stay off the drugs.
Chris Brown is a musician who should have left the public spotlight way back in 2009 after assaulting fellow musician Rihanna.
That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing that that's the type of person that I fell in love with.
Man, she's stunning, man. Oh my God. I'm sorry, but wow.
That wasn't the end for Brown, though. He keeps somehow coming back, then doing something else horrendous. In 2011, he got mad on Good Morning America and started smashing the green room.
At one point, a cooler was thrown, and this window was broken in his dressing room.
Most recently, in July 2024, he was sued for $50 million by concert goers he supposedly attacked after his show.
At one point, the lawsuit states a chair was thrown at someone's head while others were hit in the face, the ribs, and the chest.
He also has connections to Sean Combs, with a woman he met through Combs in 2020 accusing him of assault. It's peculiar that he still has a fan base after all that has come to light about him.
F-A-M-E. Yeah. What does that stand for? Fame, forgiving all my enemies, and definitely fans of my everything.
Mike Tyson.
It is crazy considering what he did. And if you look at his concerts, they're just, it's women. His fans are predominantly women. Like, you would think that based on what he did to Rihanna, it's just insane. It's insane. I'm not saying he doesn't make good music, because he does, but it's insane how quickly he was forgiven for the outright beatdown he put on Rihanna, you know?
He's one of the greatest boxers. Tyson is for some reason still a celebrity.
Getting the whole world to pay attention isn't easy.
He recently returned to boxing, fighting a man more than 30 years younger than him, showing he's still a popular figure. This is bizarre if you know about his controversies.
Grand jury selection begins 1 week from tomorrow in the case of boxer Mike Tyson.
His most famous was back in 1991, when he was arrested for indecent assault of an 18-year-old woman. Tyson was convicted for the atrocity, but spent only 3 years in prison.
Seldom can a prisoner have emerged from here into a stretch limousine. Tyson's newfound humility, it seems, has its limits.
His career has included other controversies, like him biting Evander Holyfield's ears in 1997, numerous violent outbursts, and just generally being unpleasant. It turns out that being a registered sex offender isn't enough to end a career.
What I've done in the past is a history, and what I'm going to do in the future is a mystery.
Dan Schneider.
Oh, Mike, it's so conflicting for me, because I'm going to sound like such a hypocrite here, because, like, I'm such a fan of Mike's boxing career. Obviously, his personality, you know, his history is sullied. You know, he did what he did. He did what he did. But, oh God, I'm so conflicted.
Anyone who grew up in the 2000s will be familiar with the works of Dan Schneider, one of Nickelodeon's most famous showrunners, creating shows like Drake and Josh, Zoe 101, and iCarly, among others.
I got it. I know how we're going to get a ton more people to watch our webcast. Does it involve dental floss? No, why? I think that piece of corn had a friend.
Well, it turns out he created a pretty despicable work environment and has been accused many times of inappropriate behavior toward minors.
For Dan, it was about power at that point. And when you are someone who wants more and more power, eventually you're going to fly too close to the sun.
Jeanette McCurdy openly discusses her experiences in her 2022 memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, where she only ever refers to him as the creator. Nickelodeon offered to pay her thousands of dollars not to open up about it, but that didn't stop her. Despite overwhelming evidence, Schneider denies the allegations.
I hate that anybody worked for me and didn't have a good time.
Bill Cosby.
Yeah, man. He like some of the stuff, like I've seen clips of the early Nickelodeon, you know, shows and stuff, things that he would have Ariana Grande do and the other co-stars. It's weird. It's highly suspicious. Why nobody called it out at the time, I don't understand.
He was once considered America's dad until 2014, when allegations arose, claiming that he had inappropriately abused numerous women.
I couldn't tell anybody. I felt dirty.
This decimated his legacy and completely ended his career, and he eventually spent 3 years in prison before his conviction was overturned due to questions concerning admissibility of evidence.
This is a very rare event to have your entire conviction vacated like this or overturned.
After being released, he still maintained his innocence, claiming the sentence was unjust, despite the evidence to the contrary. One such piece is court papers from 2005, where he admitted to giving women sedatives. Numerous awards he received have been revoked, and a statue of Cosby in Florida was removed, leaving behind a legacy that no one will look up to.
I've never seen anything like this. And reality is the situation.
Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, Bill, man. I remember, like, as a really, really, really young kid, I can vaguely remember my dad and mum showing us, like, some Bill Cosby shows. Like, he was, like, at one point, probably one of the biggest stars, maybe in the world. Am I exaggerating? That's what it feels like. The downfall is just insane.
Weinstein used to be at the top of Hollywood, co-founder of Miramax, the successful production company.
Weinstein was at the top of the Hollywood establishment. But a reporter with sources in the movie industry was investigating a disturbing rumor about him.
This all changed in 2017 when allegations of abuse came into the public eye, dating back decades. More than 80 women claimed to be victims of him, many of them celebrities. Despite the enormous quantity of allegations, he denies all of them and claims he is completely innocent.
Soon after the news broke, Weinstein was fired from his company and went into therapy.
Either that's a total lie, or no one taught him the difference between yes and no. He was found guilty in 2020 and sentenced to 23 years in prison.
His sentence is long enough for him, at least to begin to understand what he's done. Whether he will ever be truly sorry, I don't know.
This was eventually overturned, but he was later given 16 years, and further trials are ongoing. R. Kelly.
Isn't it, like, look at him here. Like, just look at him.
But he was later given 16 years, and
do you believe this, the whole use of a walking stick and a walker? Do you believe that, or do you think it's just a ploy to gain sympathy, you know, to be shown as this fragile person who doesn't belong in prison? You know, I don't know if I buy it.
Further trials are ongoing. R. Kelly. Kelly rose to fame in the 90s, making numerous pop hits and working with giants like Michael Jackson.
I did you wrong, I admit I did.
He has been quite unpleasant throughout his long career, being the target of constant accusations of indecent abuse since 1991.
His bodyguard handed me his phone number and said R. Kelly would like you to call him.
He was first taken to court for this in 1996, and most recently in 2021, when he was convicted for numerous heinous crimes.
The fact that it took 20 years, you know, to convict him is problematic.
Currently, he's serving 31 years in prison, but still doesn't believe he's done anything wrong. So much so that in 2018, he released the song ironically titled I Admit. It's 19 minutes long, and he denies all allegations.
This interview that he did with, I think her name's Gail Thomas, is legendary, man. It's so, I shouldn't laugh, but it has some really funny moments.
Instead discussing his personal issues, like being dyslexic and not attending church. At least he's finally been locked away, even if it took 30 years of allegations.
Y'all just don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to believe it.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified.
You know he's getting extorted to the max in there. It's just so, it's sad, man. The music, his music catalog is just insane. I say this every time he comes up, but
about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them.
Okay,
if you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
O.J. Simpson. Simpson's trial might be one of the most famous in history.
The face of O.J. Simpson has often filled the televisions of Rochester's sports bars, but never like this.
I was shocked because he's a man who I respected both professionally and personally.
In 1994, he allegedly murdered his ex-wife and her friend. There was overwhelming forensic evidence supporting this fact, and he even attempted to escape to Mexico. News helicopters followed this mesmerizing slow-speed chase, and roughly 95 million Americans watched it live.
He's on the off-ramp now, coming up the off-ramp at sunset.
He was acquitted in criminal court in 1995, but a civil case found him liable in 1997. He was later convicted for an armed robbery in 2007 and sentenced to 33 years in the slammer before being paroled in 2017.
Count 8, robbery with use of a deadly weapon, a minimum term of 60 months, a maximum term of 180 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections.
Simpson even wrote a book called If I Did It, a supposedly fictional account of the murders intended to earn him some much-needed money.
Insane. If I Did It. Oh my God.
And in the book you describe taking off your shoes, your pants, and your shirt and dropping it in a bundle. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Which disgraced celebrity do you think should finally grow up and admit to their wrongdoings? Let us know in the comments section.
Admit fully that my judgment was probably coloured by my tendency to be too honourable.
Check out these other...
Oh my God. Yeah, some absolutely insane moments. Like, the one that really comes to my head, or the two, are Ellen firing her employee because he did a GoFundMe to pay his medical bills. Like, that is probably one of the biggest shows of a lack of empathy I've ever seen in my life. So you've got someone who works for you and you're not paying him enough for him to pay his medical bills. So rather than ask you for money, he's doing a GoFundMe and you fire him for that. Like, you're a multimillionaire. She could have easily paid that. And the loyalty that would have, fostered in that employee would have been unbreakable. He would have never left her. He would have worked himself to the bone for her. But she couldn't see that part. Just, that is like a clear sign of a psycho, or a sociopath. And OJ, you you get acquitted of murder, and then you write a book called If I Did It. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.